Perfect. I can still see your faces. Okay. So we are the United Association of Plumbers, Steamfitters, HVAC Service Technicians, kind of be a mouthful. So we work on everything from power, commercial, not a ton of residential, I'll be honest, just because that's not where our contractors are. The way this works is we have about 1,800 members in San Diego and Imperial counties, many of whom we have trained through our 5-year apprenticeship program. That is an Earn While You Learn program, joint labor management apprenticeship through the state of California. Each hour that a member works, they pay about 15 cents. Well, contractor pays, depends on how you look at it, right? But every hour worked, basically money goes into a training fund. So our core values to build our union, obviously benefits is a huge one. When I'm talking to a non-union employee, 99% of the time, they don't have a retirement plan. We do have a defined benefit retirement plan too, actually, that apprentices will be, a lot of 18-year-olds, this doesn't matter to them, but as we know, this is a good plan for later in life. I always tell people we've been around 100 years, we're not going anywhere, so can kind of count on your pension in that sense too. 120 now, actually. Full family health care. A lot of members that I've organized actually who've been in the trade and organized in unrepresented workers, right, who wanted to be represented have actually cried to me before because they've never had health care for their children. So kind of a great thing. Worker safety obviously is number one. The first year apprentice comes into our trade, they will take an OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 class. That's their number one class, all about safety on the job site. I will say there was a study done in New York City about deaths on construction sites. It was shown that union job sites are safer in that study, and I can link that later if you guys are interested. Education, obviously. So when I say some, not all, but some have gone through our 5-year apprenticeship program. Some of our tradesmen and women actually have been organized into the trade, and we do demand, though, journeyman upgrade training now. So that's about 20 hours a year. Our training center is available to all of our memberships. So all 1,800 members are welcome to go refine their skills, get needed welding certifications, brazing certifications. Hospitals are coming up, so people need their med gas certification. So like our industry is definitely based upon many certifications, and that's how you make yourself employable to our contractors. We are signatory to over 300 contractors in Southern California, and that's kind of our partnership. It's up to them to obviously employ our said membership, and it's up to our membership to obviously keep their employment. As you can see here, this is not stock photos. This woman here, her name is Candy Hood. This is actually when she was apprentice. She's a full-fledged journeyman plumber now. She works for University Mechanical today. Yes, she was working down at the Symphony as of last month. I don't know where she is now. But yeah, so she's maintained her employment. She used to work, I think at this time she was working for Air Reed down at Ballpark Village. That's where I took that. Yeah, and this is another woman, Jennifer Matisse, in our trade. She was working at Otay power plant there. And then these are some cool welding hoods from our Veterans and Piping program, 18-week program, kind of leads into our apprenticeship for former Marines. We actually get them in the last 18 weeks of their service, and they get direct entry. It's one of the last job placement programs I've actually seen at Pendleton. Unfortunately, would love to see more. Let me move you all. What is a union? Why are they important? So for a lot of students, I like to cover this, but I know today we're kind of talking to higher levels, so many of you know about unions, but obviously unity and strength, it's all about workers coming together to demand and negotiate their wages, benefits, and working conditions. It's all a democratic process. My boss, business manager, is elected by the membership, and then he appoints me as an organizer, and he actually appoints, well, actually, no, we're actually one locals who all of our plumbing business agent, pipe fitting business agent, and HVAC business agent are all elected also by membership. So all a very democratic process. We encourage all of our members to get involved, obviously. Difference between a plumber and a pipe fitter. Can I have any guesses here? Anyone want to take a shot at it?
You can throw it in the chat too, by the way.
Okay, sorry, I can't see the chat while I'm in here. So can somebody just let me know if things pop up?
That or they can go off the mic, either one, don't care.
Yeah, please feel free to chat. So, or, you know, step in at any time. I want to keep this interactive. So pipe fitter, steam fitter, you see a picture here. Here, I'm going to give you a little, and then if you go here, you see plumbers. Any guesses? What's going through it? I'll give you a guess. It's what's going through these pipes that matters. So usually with plumbers, water is going through these pipes, and with pipe fitters, just about everything else. So, you know, oxygen lines, natural gas, what else? Basically like anything else, right? So pipe fitters worked at San Onofre back in the day. Today they worked on Carlsbad desal plant, things like that. Although that's water, it's kind of different because it's at a much larger scale. So you can see our pipe fitters are often welders as well. This is Emery Montag. He is now retired. His son is also in the trade. We're doing our best to, you know, expand that. We don't want it just to be those who hear about us because their dad did it or their mom did it. We want it to be expanded, right? So here is another welder. He's down at, this was one of the Southland, or not Southland, Langfield South hospitals, or not hospitals, hotels that was built down on Harbor Drive down in downtown San Diego. And again, this control air was down at Otay. That was the most recent power, natural gas power peaker plant we built. So that's why that's there. We obviously produce exceptional plumbers as well. So as you can see here, plumbers deal with like copper pipe, also PVC, ABS, plastic pipe, and then obviously steel and everything else that we deal with. Here we go. So basic minimum requirements for apprentices. So this is, you know, kind of getting into the nitty gritty of, you must be 18 years of age. You must have an original birth certificate, high school diploma or GED, also accept obviously sealed transcripts, California driver's license, and then a little bit on the written exam. That's a 53 question exam, a lot of algebra 1. So I'll be honest, our average age of entering into the apprenticeship is somewhere around 27 years old. So that's about 10 years out of high school algebra 1, right? So it's a little difficult. So if we get students at an earlier age, they're almost at an advantage, I would say, just because they have that math more recent. It's, you know, conversion of fractions, formulas, word problems. That's kind of where the reading comprehension half of it comes in. And then, yeah, and they only need a C or better on that. Our oral interview is 2 contractors and then 2 officers within our trade. So our plumbing and pipe fitting business agent are those 2 that sit on that board. And then 2 contractors from Advanced and University Mechanical are also on.
Just to jump in real quick, for the math requirement here at Vista High, you're talking that you need to take Integrated 1 and Integrated 2. That's the equivalent of the old Algebra 1 course sequence. Just for the guys in the call.
And I'm sorry, you kind of broke up on my end. So you just said Algebra 1 is what?
The same thing as Integrated 1 and Integrated 2 together here at Vista High.
Oh, okay.
For the people, cool. Yeah, because that used to be just Algebra 1 was like, hi, it's one course. But through Integrated 2 would be kind of where your knowledge base would need to be. So, which is the basic algebra.
And many other trades also have these exams. So just to let you all know, the trades are going to want to work with you all. We have a project labor agreement in your area. So we have a obligation to recruit hard with your students. So if you all, I don't know how many other trades you've spoken to, but we're all interested in getting as many of your students involved. We honestly, just due to lack of bandwidth, is the only reason we haven't been in North County more. If I go onto a job site in North County, it's union, what union? So, and that's unfortunate. We do want to change that. And, you know, with the help of your city council and other politicals, we've actually really made a difference in more outreach in the North County area and to your students. So we're excited that I was invited here, work this out. So we do only have our school is based. So a few, you know, everybody's schools in different areas throughout the county is basically where you can afford to put a 55,000 square foot facility. And that's why we changed, we needed to grow. So we just moved out to 8616 Cuyamaca Street in Santee. We are asking if students do go and apply, they make an appointment with Suzanne, and I'll show you that number later. And her or I will be a good contact to just feel free to share mine or hers for if they have like questions or how things work. They obviously bring all their documentation down there. Nothing is online. We're very old school, so no application online prior to, nothing like that. It's all in person with a mask right now, of course. You will be notified in the mail. So again, a very old school about when your written exam is. Upon successfully passing piping industry level assessment, which is a 53 question exam I was speaking about earlier, you'll be notified your place and time of the oral interview. All of our oral interviews have been located though at, again, our Santee school location. Right now we are doing classes online through the end of, at least through the end of this semester. And so we'll most likely, we'll see what happens next semester, right, with everything moving, but kind of a moving target, so I don't want to say. I do want to specify, so we are ongoing enrollment. So, you know, students, whether they just graduated, whatever, like you could go and apply at any time. That being said, we do work in the college in the sense that, as you can imagine, these 4 steps take a little bit, right? So like if you say apply in February, you'll be notified in March of your exam. You'll be interviewed sometime in April, May, and then you would start class, and then yeah, you'd start classes in the beginning of August. If you applied anytime after August, or even if you applied, let's say March 15th on, you would most likely be in the next round because you get tested in September and then interviews in October and start in January. So it's just kind of that ongoing. Also, if you're not accepted that first go around, I believe your exam is good for 1 to 2 years. I'd have to ask Suzanne on how she's doing that now. So kind of like, don't get discouraged. You can always come back. Sometimes it takes people many years to get into the union or go through the apprenticeship. It is a very competitive process, but at the same time, I do recommend them working with me on ways to maybe go work for an employer as a pre-apprentice. That always helps when you're coming in to the trade. So again, feel free to share my contact. We commit to your education and career, Union Pipe Page Training Center. So just wanted to highlight that is our new address. And then first year apprentice is starting out $23.82 an hour. So not many trades can say that, right? Every 5 years you get about $5 raise. The last year you get $10 raise. At the end of your 5 years, you're well above 50 hours a week. We get like $1.60 extra just to head with inflation every year. And so they'll be well over $50 by the time any student graduates in the next 5 years. So obviously minimum requirements we kind of already covered. This woman right here, my good friend Marlena Barderas, she actually is one of our Veterans in Piping program graduates. She went through the 18-week program. She's now a 2nd year apprentice at University of Mechanical. Notice I don't have a favorite, but there is one employer that employs all of our women right now. So I have a favorite. And then we have, let's see, Okay, I don't want you to get confused. I should actually just take this off of this slide, but the local union office do not have, we show up on Google and everything like that. I'm fixing the Google for the Union Pipe Trades Training Center because right now it is to the old location. So I don't want kids scouring over this entire county trying to figure out where to go. So we have people come to the local union office all the time. We're in Sorrento Valley and we're not close to Santee. So I don't want people to get confused. So please make sure, that's why I've highlighted Cuyamaca Street, that you're sending your students to the right area of town to apply.
So one of the things I was going to ask you about is, well, I've been told that there are a ton of people retiring right now. And so there's a vast need, especially in all the apprenticeship programs, for new blood, if you want to, for lack of a better term, because there's a lot of, we're facing sort of like a minor crisis, and that we have so many guys who are retiring, we don't have enough students to replace them. And, wow, like first year, you're making $23.82 an hour, right? And it goes up from there. And I don't think students realize how good this type of occupation pays, and that it has a huge future. This is not going to be outsourced. The more the economy grows, the more these kind of jobs are going to be needed, right?
Yeah, yeah, so you're completely right on that of where we're at, just in the market. So like I would say, just in the next 5 years here in San Diego, we're seeing like a huge need for plumbers. I already have non-union contractors coming in wanting to become signatory just because they can't find qualified plumbers. So I would say on that end, and as I'm actually working with some friends on some on-site water reuse stuff right now at the county. So like as we move forward, things like climate change stuff like that, we're only going to get more work because there's just going to be more retrofitting. There's going to be more pipes in new buildings, stuff like that. So you're definitely going to see, I would think, an uptick in all of the trades though, just because we're at this really unique moment, right? And I think this administration is really going to address that with an infrastructure package we're looking at midway through this year. But also I've heard HR 2 will be some legislation around schools, and I've heard that Levin, your representative, really wants to bring some money home to Oceanside. I think there's a dilapidated elementary school on Camp Pendleton, and then he mentioned Vista and Fallbrook as well. And I was like, yeah, we definitely want Vista to get some love of that funding for our schools. So I think you're kind of at this precipice where our pipes, everything, all of the great, 1950s buildings are now 60 to 70 years old, right? And all their pipes need replacing. Anything, think about this, anything before 1970, we are still using lead in our pipes. There's obviously a lot of issue around that as we send our kids, water fountains and things like that. Local 230 has volunteered our time and actually gave money to San Ysidro School Board District for water bottles, because you guys might remember before San Diego Unified came out with their lead in their water, San Ysidro was one of the first school districts to spot lead in their water. So it's things like that aren't going to be acceptable, right? Let's hope, for our students to be drinking. So around water reuse, I would definitely say, and then even as like the power infrastructure changes, a lot of buildings and things will have to, we're going to have to look at more water pump storage, geothermal, HVAC condensate, things that would, again, be all work around us. My email is also at the bottom of this, Bernadette, UA local230.org. So feel free to share that with any students. And then the other key number to apprenticeship applications are accepted by appointment only. That is due to COVID right now. Just don't want to bombard Suzanne down at the school. And that number there is key, 619-262-7589. So again, I just want to make sure it's clear, because I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is an earn while you learn. So you go to work for 7 weeks. You'll work for one of our signatory contractors. You do, in order to advance and get that payment advancement. So like, 23 bucks goes to 26 something after your first to second year, right? And then so on and so forth throughout the 5 years. You do need to get a certain number of hours in the field. Usually we don't have too much trouble with this. Like actually I don't have one apprentice on the books right now to send to the non-union contractors for some of their compliance stuff. So we don't usually have a problem of unemployment for our it's basically cheaper labor for our contractors, right? Because it's not a full 72 bucks an hour they're paying out for a journeyman pipe fitter or journey person pipe fitter. So you're getting a job for one. That's 7 weeks you go to work, 8th week you go to school. So that is block training. You do not get paid for the time that you're actually in the classroom instruction. And then you graduate after 5 years, master of your trade, just short of an AA degree. We have our LOI through Washtenaw Community College in Michigan. It's just like a nationwide thing. And then the other significant, huge benefit that we've recently invested in. So we're part of the United Association, 350,000 members throughout the nation and Canada, actually, and Australia and Ireland. You can travel the nation after you graduate from your apprenticeship program. So that's a huge enticement for some young people, right? Is that you're not in no way are you stuck here. You can go and travel and work. You also, like I said, you're just short of your AA degree. I do not recommend doing this while you're in school, but the UA has invested in a 4-year degree. So you can go and get your online degree through an Ohio school. I don't know why they decided to go through them, but they did. And it's all really cool because they actually, obviously they worked with Washtenaw a lot. And so, because that's where all of your credits will be transferred from most of our students, right? So anyone actually, your immediate family, so like, or even not immediate, like cousins, I believe, but definitely like husbands, wives, kids, all can get this free college benefit once you're a UA member. So they assign a counselor to you, and then from there you can look at like what credits you need, and they have some really cool classes available. I believe my manager's actually, he already has his bachelor's degree, but he's going to take a few of the classes available just because they have some cool management classes that are kind of geared towards our industry. So that's the other aspect I want to throw in. Kids kind of think, oh, I don't want to go be a plumber. I don't want to be a pipe fitter. It's definitely a lifelong career in the sense that like you can go on and be a foreman, you can be a superintendent, you can go and be an organizer in the union, you can go and be a business agent and defend the contract, you can go and be an engineer if you want to go on and get your engineering degree, but you even have that background and no one can ever take that skills that you learned on the job site for those 5 years, right? And we've even had a few of our members, actually we signed 5 former members as contractors, union signatory contractors. And so a lot of our members go into business for themselves, right? They see the skills and they have the ability to do that business side, and they've been uber successful. There's definitely, we have larger contractors who are signatories, so there's definitely a gap there that like needs to, we have like medium size, but we don't have those smaller contractors a lot of the time that maybe do like service residential. I got an HVAC guy who does like refrigeration HVAC. He just went into business. He's been super helpful. Just amongst other unions, I've been able to get him work.
Yeah, and I think for some of the students, they think a lot of times with the apprenticeship programs and trades, they don't understand that one of the opportunities connected to it is starting their own business. And that has a huge financial upside, more than the great salaries they're already paid. I mean, exactly. There's a lot of students who don't understand that you could be an entrepreneur. The difference is you're starting a plumbing company or, instead of starting some other type of business.
Yeah. And it's great you mentioned that because, and even you kind of alluded to it, but like my brother is a trades guy too. He was an elevator technician, also a very well-paid trade. There's only about 325 of them here in San Diego County, but they have 99% of the market share. And so they're a very strong union, and he has gone into business himself, and he kind of regrets it because he's like, God, my life used to be so easy. Just, work 8 to 2, take a paycheck. No, there's nothing to it. That's the other great part about it, right? As long as you're fine with waking up early, you might have to be on that job site at 5, but hey, you're off by 2 o'clock or off by 1:30, right? So that's kind of something our guys really love a lot. Like I have an apprentice who, coaches little Pop Warner out in Oceanside area, and he loves his team, gets to travel with them and do all that, because our job's kind of like that, right? You get that time after work to spend and do what you love. So that's the other aspect of it for sure. Let's see. So getting involved in your union, just like anything in life, anything they put into it, you kind of get out of it. These are our women in our trade wearing these t-shirts we made. A woman's place is in her union, with Rosie the Riveter, obviously, is our beacon of hope over here. And then we've got this Reunite Our Community. We helped paint and revitalize the pillars of the community in South San Diego, their whole facility. And so we do a lot of philanthropic work. Our members are fortunate that even in this pandemic, right, we've really learned that we're so fortunate to be considered essential workers. And we've volunteered in over 12 Saturdays now in food drives. So anywhere from Palomar College to, or not Palomar, San Marcos. No. It is Palomar. The one off the 76, right? Yeah, Palomar. We've done some food drives up there with the teachers union up there, and then actually Southwest High School we did just a few weekends ago. And then we were doing, obviously with San Diego Labor Council, we were down at Qualcomm while that was still open. Now we're actually working on Qualcomm building SDSU's new stadium. Go Aztecs! Love the shirt. And so yeah, that should be done August 2022. Actually, I was just down on that job site. But the stadium should be done and down in July. It looks like it's going to be even sooner, but we'll see. So just to give you an idea, so a lot of kids, I'll be honest, we don't have a huge, like I kind of alluded to before, we don't have a huge service side. So another thing I like to tell kids is we're dealing with new construction. You won't be as much dealing with people's feces and things. You're dealing with new construction. So, putting fresh pipes in kind of thing. So hospitals, schools, colleges, Carlsbad desal plant, other water treatment plants though. Pure Water San Diego's coming online, so that's going to be big. I know Oceanside has some pure water, but we haven't, unfortunately, our contractors have not delved into that work as much. Hotels, pharmaceutical labs. We actually are working, what's that one? They were actually working on developing one of the vaccines. So, it's kind of cool that we're like part of this whole thing. And hospitals, obviously, we build a lot of those. Can't mess up a oxygen line with a gas line, right? So things like that, you need the skilled trades to ensure that that's all going to go well. A lot of Kaisers we've built. I think Kaiser San Marcos is coming online. The 163 Sharp Memorial is redoing some of their stuff. So there's actually going to be 3 hospitals. So you're speaking of really concerned about available tradesmen and women in the next coming years. I got 3 hospitals this summer coming online. I'm so scared of what this is going to look like if we don't have enough people. And we have no one but ourselves to blame because we do graduate the most apprentices. So at the end of the day, we need to be taking on more and doing that. And we will. The problem is it takes 5 years for them to be journeymen. And so, we have to make those knowledgeable and good investments prior to that. Military barracks, Petco Park, we built, very proud of that one. Our members are very proud. Stadiums in general, though, Aztec Stadium, as I mentioned. Water treatment plants. So my boss worked on things like the Point Loma water treatment plant. He also worked on like a Liebenheim dam raise. Lots of big pipes in that one. And as you can see, a lot of big pipes here, right? This was all from, all these pictures you see here are from Carlsbad desal plant. If you see all the covering of the pipes, but a lot of these pipes had, what's that called? I can't think today, Monday brain, but the stuff that makes you itchy. And I remember hated it so bad. I felt so bad for them when they were lining the pipe. So, you know, you get dirty. The work's not always glamorous, but you don't have to wear makeup. So that's a good one.
Derek said it was probably fiberglass that we were lining.
Fiberglass, that's what it is. Yeah. And we don't work with it often. So it was kind of like a new thing for that. And yeah, people were not too excited about it. So any questions for us? Do we have, let me try and get out of this so I can see the chat.
Yeah, if you've got any questions real quick, throw those in the chat. I know we're running out of time here, but we do have maybe a couple minutes left. So if you have questions, either come off the mic or throw them in the chat.
So what skills do you need for this job? I would say the open and willingness to learn. Be on time. As they always say, on time is 15 minutes early. You know, it really like 99, you know, I've got general foreman in this office who used to work on the job sites, and they always tell you it's nothing like a good attitude and the willingness to learn they'd rather have than somebody who thinks they're a hot plumber or the best fitter, the best welder out there. They would just rather have somebody who is team player, willingness to learn, doesn't mind waking up early, and you could go a long way in this trade just with those three things. So, the other aspect I will say though is the math. I mean, I think I was no great math scholar when I was going through high school. And you know, it's not that you have to love it. It's just that you have to have that basic knowledge of like the conversion of fractions, decimals, and things like that. What would an everyday life look like in this job? So it could look different depending on what contractor you are working with. It could be like, you know, say you're going, so a lot of our apprentices, I would say, like many of them, like I was saying, we do OSHA and like OSHA 30. So like if you're in your first semester, most likely you could get sent out to a job. I don't want to like say you couldn't, but a lot of them go to our fabrication shops. A lot of our bigger contractors have fab shops. So you might go to that fab shop, kind of learn how to place and put it in pipe and fit stuff, label it so that when it goes out to the job, they literally attach A to B to C to D, and then just the welder comes through, and the welder is assigned to a pipe fitter, and then apprentice would be under them, right? And so every time you get sent out to the job, the way that would look is that you have to be assigned to a journeyman pipe fitter. So you will have somebody guiding you and telling you what to do. What that would look like though within your apprenticeship is you might be sweeping, you might be picking up their bag, you might be helping them carry pipe, you might, you know, a lot of it will be the grunt work at the beginning. So that's kind of what your day will look like. You could be told one day you're going, so a biggest issue we have is like having a reliable vehicle. You could one day be working at, you know, Vista Elementary, or say like, you know, you guys have a beautiful Vista Civic Center. You could be working at the Vista Civic Center, you know, redoing or building a new building. And then the next day you could be downtown San Diego. So just to give you an idea, like you could be anywhere in the county. So there's nothing that says, you know, the contractor can't send you where they want to send you or where they need you, especially as an apprentice, just because with prevailing wage in the state of California, there is a apprenticeship hour requirement for every, God, don't quote me on this, but it's something like for every 100 hours worked, 20% of those hours need to be worked by 20 of those hours need to be worked by a certified apprentice. So it's the way that we ensure that every industry is teaching the next generation of plumbers, pipe fitters, or what have you in the trade. Any other questions?
Any other questions, guys? Going once. Going twice.
And
I don't see anything in my chat, so.
all right. Yeah, I don't either. I'm gonna put my information down in the chat though, so you guys can feel free to share. This is my cell phone number. Feel free to share this with any student. I'm always willing to talk. It's actually like one of my favorite things when I get a call from a high school student, because as I told you before, we don't get a lot of people who or you know, high school students who are willing to like kind of take this leap at such a young age, right? A lot of them want to try maybe the Navy or something else before, you know, take a few community college classes, which I'm not knocking, you know, you can learn a lot out there. But it's always amazing when I hear a senior who's like, I'm just waiting until my 18th birthday, I'm gonna go apply. And I'm like, yeah, you do that, call me when you do it. Like, we'll talk it through. So I always get really excited talking to students, of course, because I mean, I went to college, right? I started out with 27, I'm thinking about $23,000 in debt, right? I have a fellow brother in the trade who's my same age, already has one gorgeous little girl, is a plumber at A.L. Reed, came straight into the trade out of high school. So he's been a journeyman now for about 3 years. And he owns a home in Oceanside, is basically living off of one family income, right? Which is very rare for San Diego. His wife is able to stay home with their child. So just a little bit of the difference. I mean, I just recently bought my home, so like I got there, but you know, for a lot of San Diegans, a lot of that is unrealistic with the wages and with the market where it is, right? So these are really like the last middle class jobs that I really have seen in San Diego County, unfortunately. And so this is a, you know, a good career if kids are willing to make it one.
Yeah, so high demand, great pay, education's free, right? It is hard work, but then again, anything worth anything is, right? So
Absolutely.
I would definitely take this into consideration if I were a student, right? There's a lot of future involved with this. Even if you want to just start a business, right? This is how you do it, right? You get that kind of background experience, and then you're able to hire on your own teams and start your own business.
Yeah, and I even tell that to kids who are like, well, I want to be an engineer. I want to be an engineer. And it's like, you know, our members will always tell you like, oh, who made these blueprints? Because, you know, sometimes they'll have pipes coming out of walls and they'll have things, you know, wrong angle stops on things that, you know, just simply won't work because that's just not the way the water's flowing, or, you know, all kinds of stuff like that, that like, honestly could have been solved just if they were willing to give a few years out in the field getting that experience.
Yeah, so you could be a journeyman and then decide to come back around and go, you know what? I think I want to be an engineer, and
Yeah.
you could go do that. Right?
Yeah.
This is a great starting place for any career.
Yeah, and I actually just spoke to a woman the other day. She is currently working at AMC Mechanical, one of our bigger contractors again here in town, gets a lot of jobs here in UTC area, a lot of labs and office buildings. And she's doing, she started out as secretary, then she was a dispatcher. So she, you know, handled manpower requests. And then she is now studying under their project manager. And then she was just like, you know, there's still a lot of the lingo I don't understand. She's like, I don't get, you know, a lot of the actual job stuff that I need to know if I actually want to be a project manager. And she's like, I'm thinking about joining the trade. Do you think that's crazy? And I was like, I don't think it's crazy at all. It's like, one, you'll get a pay increase immediately. Two, like, you know, no one can ever take that 5 years of experience away. Her brother's actually in sheet metal. So he knows all about the union and things like that. And so he was like, no, and you get family benefits. Like, this is a great option for you. And I was like, and then you can always go back as project management and say, nope, I'm used to this wage and I have this experience now. So you need to, you know, compensate me at this wage if that's what you want to do. Or you can work in the field. But you know, the truth of the matter is you learn so much about the trade, right? Not only just being out there, but also just learn so much about being on the job. And so yeah, so you know, it's a kind of funky career path, you know, that you can always take, but it's definitely worth it, just because no one's going to be able to take all those experiences away from you at any point in your career. And you can always kind of have that street cred, as I say, of I have been in the field. I do know how this works. So
Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. I've recorded this for all the students who didn't get a chance to drop in today and be with us. But definitely would like to have you come back, and I will put up your contact information over the coming weeks here as soon as I build out some of our site and post some of the videos up. So thank you so much for coming today. I do appreciate it. And thank you, instructors and students, for being here with us. Right. And I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I know I learn a lot every time in each one of these sessions about things I never even knew about. Right. And that's the idea.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yes, great to meet you all. Have a
All
great
right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.